Hi guys, Karis here, and I'm hanging out here in Sedona. The fires stopped several days ago, so it's very nice to have our clean air back. And, with the fires, I kept checking in with the devas, and I'm used to being in California where fires burn a lot, and so humans have short memories. We forget that land needs to burn, land that's meant to burn needs to burn every so often for the renewal of the ecosystem. And I had a little bit of a different perspective on the fires than some might, because humans don't like land to burn because we build stuff on it, but actually often fires are needed. So anyway, just saying that I didn't think it was this horrible thing. And I did check in a lot with the elementals here, and they did say, yep, it's purification, it's a clearing, we're all good. But I did, of course, still send healing intentions over and made the best thing happen with the minimal amount of trauma and the most amount of transformation. Speaking of transformation, this video is going to be about living your life purpose. And it's a complicated issue. It's one that has lots of sticks and barbs in it in all cultures. And what I would like to do is give you guys an overview of where you can start right now if you feel like you're not living your life's purpose and you would like to be. Or if you feel like you already are but you would like to give it some extra tweaks. And I'm also teaching a course on this. But what I'm about to tell you is a lot of what's in the course. But of course the course is longer and more detailed and that kind of thing. And we will all be doing it together, so it gives you a little bit of a different kind of framework. So the first thing is deserving to live your life purpose. A lot of people feel like, well, once I X, Y, or Z, then I'll be able to do it. I've had comments on some of my work, and I'm glad people say things like this, because I don't know how my work is perceived. You record these things and send them out to the ethers, and who watches them or where they go. But some people say, I wish that I were a millionaire and I could live like this, or I wish that I had my daddy's money and I could live like this, or I'd love to win the lottery. Guys, a lot of stuff I do, totally free. Hanging out in nature, free. Going and finding spots to swim, free. And as far as my travel and stuff, because a lot of people ask me about that, I don't have necessarily different expenses than I would if I lived in one spot. I'm just mobile. So my cost of living is probably very similar to yours watching this. It's just that most of what I do is on the internet, so I can work from anywhere. So as you can see, it's not that you don't need all this capital to be abundant. You just need to align with whatever it is you're supposed to do. So how do you find your life's purpose? Well, first, you definitely deserve to be living it. You were born for a reason. Joan of Arc said this thing as she was riding into battle. It's one of my favorite quotes in the whole world. And she says, "No, I'm not afraid. I was born for this." And that's kind of the point. If you're holding back from what you're supposed to be doing, from what feels best to you, and what blesses those around you, then that means you're kind of cheating the world that brought you in of the reason that it brought you in. So not only are you not fulfilling yourself, you're also not living by the agreement that got you here in the first place, which is what you're going to give, what you're going to admit. That might just be smiles. Maybe you're someone who's not supposed to have some great big kind of thing. You're just supposed to be happy and live a very simple existence. Maybe it's supposed to be really complicated and huge, and you're supposed to head up all these things, and it's going to be a big deal, or is a big deal, and that's what your mission is. Your life purpose is unique to you. No one has exactly the same thing. You're a unique combination of elements and vibrations that's never existed before in the universe and never will after your physical form is gone. So there's a reason, and finding the reason is part of what this is all about, and then rocking that reason. So how do you find it? Well, first you have to identify your joy, and in the class I'm going to teach, that's going to be the first cycle, is identifying our joy. When are we even happy? A lot of people don't even necessarily know, well, this or that or that or that makes me happy, but usually that's the cessation of things that are happening. So not when something isn't happening to make you unhappy, but when are you actually fountaining out pleasure and joy. And one of the ways to figure out that, as well as what your life purpose might be, is to think about when you were really small, a child, what was your favorite play pretend game? Because a lot of us have known what our life purpose was our entire lives long. And when you're little, the sky's the limit when you're playing pretend. You can do whatever you want. For instance, when I was little, my favorite play pretend game, and I was raised in a very fundamentalist, closed-minded, conservative religion. So I had no idea what this meant. I just knew that I loved to play it. And in this game, I would wear these long dresses in my imagination and go hang out outside, and people would come and talk to me, and I would tell them things to inspire them and assist them on their path. And that was what I did. So it was essentially kind of being a priestess, kind of what I do now as an adult. But as a little girl, I had no idea what it was. I just knew that that was my very, very favorite thing to play, and I could just play that all day long. And now I find that that's where my gifts lie, is in doing essentially the same thing, but on an adult level with my background of education and experience and things like that to ground it into this reality. Okay, next. A lot of people think that their life purpose is different than what it actually is. And a lot of times it has to do with the abundance you receive or how you are received by the world. So you might think that your purpose is in doing this one thing when actually what you really want is not to necessarily do the one thing, but to have the response from the people around you that you think doing that thing would get you. So what you want is to be loved or seen or appreciated or helpful, have a purpose, something like that. And I can almost guarantee you that if that's what you want, you're already serving that purpose in your life right now. There are probably already people around you who would say, yes, you're already doing that for me. So after you realize that you have the option to do that right now, maybe not to the magnitude that you want to make a living or travel or whatever it is, if you start doing it in small amounts as often as you can, then what you're doing is providing the universe with a resonant frequency that will allow more of it to come to you and for your sphere to grow and to get bigger and for you to have more of an effect and more of a manifestation reality that is you doing your life's purpose. But I can guarantee you that you're already doing it, at least some right now. It's not some huge shift internally because you are who you are. You've always been who you are in this incarnation and you always will be. So you're already here doing what you're here to do, or else you couldn't even exist in 3D. So to some extent, that's something to keep in mind. And then, like I said, just doing it as much as you can, and then the universe will bring in more and more. So, where's your joy? What makes you feel joy? Not just stopping something you don't like, but what makes you fountain out joy. It's going to be unique to you. It might take a little bit of digging to find. Maybe you haven't felt it in a while, but that's more reason to think and maybe even go back. What did you play pretend at when you were a kid? What was your favorite game? And what is it you lose time doing now? What do you really love to do? And start doing it as much as you can already, just now, just for free, just whatever it is. Because if you want to make a living doing it, you would eventually charge some type of energetic exchange for it. Maybe it would be money, maybe it wouldn't. But if you start doing the thing now, then the universe has got to catch you up and give you an answering vibration of abundance to match what you're giving out. So, yeah, those are some tips on finding your life's purpose and living your life's purpose. Of course, we can go much, much deeper, and we're going to in the class, so I'll put the link to register for it down below. And let's see what else to update you guys on. I did a radio interview with my friend Denita Austin just this weekend, so I'll put the link to that down below. And there's also various things coming up. There always are, but I'll keep you posted on that. I would just like to encourage you guys to allow yourself to get still. This is a really interesting time in we're right now. And so when you feel like you're going through a difficult period, it's really important to not necessarily make a decision from that spot, but to nourish yourself and give yourself what it is that you need, not having to do with what anyone else is doing. And once you feel renewed and refreshed, then go back into whatever the world is that you had to take a break from. Because I think that right now we're grounding in a completely new paradigm, and we're having to decide what we want and what we don't want to exist in our universe. And sometimes it's easier than others to identify that. And you might be identifying it through seeing what you don't want and being able to say, okay, well, if that's not what I want, then what do I want instead? And allowing yourself to put forth that vibration through the contrast of manifesting stuff that you might not like around you. So try not to get discouraged. Know that you're being offered lots of different options right now, and so just be conscious about what you're thinking and what you're feeling, and take breaks when you need to. Retire to your room and take a fake sick day when you're not actually sick, and just lay in bed all day and read or watch movies or whatever it is that you need to do. Or get out into nature. Nature's free. It's always there. You can always go into it. Even if you're in the city, a walk through your neighborhood will often help you to recalibrate your circuitry system of energy. Alright guys, much love. Go in peace. It's a beautiful bush behind me right now. And there's actually, I just found a dead bird right here. It was after I already sat down to record, and I had a moment of existential, like, well, this world is good and bad and everything in between. So just to allow it to be. Sometimes things aren't what you would identify as the most desirable, but that doesn't mean that they don't deserve to be here, So, much love, and I will see you guys on the astrals.